All right, welcome back to the hangar. Continuing on with the F-22. So last video, I had taken the tail off and was pulling all the old Imcotech stuff out and started running, more of a traditional one wire per servo kind of thing, which I finished, and everything is running to the front. And as you can see, a lot of wiring. Ugh. So got all these on this side, so it's like 12 new wires total. And then all this mess that was covered up. So I got my battery leads for the turbines. I still got to put the ends on those. The telemetry cables that are up here. And that's my pump stuff. But yeah, I'm going to clean this up again, and I'll have to redo everything considering I'm not using the Imcotech anymore. I'm running the DLPH2. But that'll kind of come in the next video. So I'll just kind of showing you what I did here. So I rotated my engines differently than I had them based off what somebody else said recently from Gaspar. I know where the RPM sensor is on these, and I always wondered why he didn't do it this way originally, but to avoid crosstalk, you kind of need to position the RPM sensors to where they're not looking so this one's not looking over at this one, because the RPM sensor looks at a magnet in the compressor nut. So the ECU board, which has the adapter on it for the plug, the 3-wire plug, essentially wherever that is, if you go about to the 4 o'clock of that, is your kind of your RPM sensor. So now I have my RPM sensor looking down and looking down on both motors versus having one looking up and the other one looking down, which is what he originally told me, but he told somebody else just recently something different. So I'm gonna try this, and obviously I'll check all that when I test run the motors, but you can kind of see how it's kind of cleaned up now. So you got the fuel line on this side here, fuel line here, and then up here at the top, you've got this ECU cable that's kind of tight, isn't it? Ooh, yeah, it's a little tight. Let me loosen this up. There we go. Here we go. And you don't want it kind of flapping around, which is kind of what sucks. There's no real good way to, that last little run. But what I did to kind of hold that is I made these, all I did is I took some of this foam board. It's like a foam board that you can kind of get at Home Depot. And I used this, first time I ever used this was to make baffles on my airplane. So I'll show you here since I got it. I did it on this one too, used black. Oh shit, almost, luckily I didn't hurt it. But you can kind of see it there. You just cut it out and it glues with CA. And if it touches something, it just melts it and it kind of conforms to whatever you got in there. But works great for things like this. So I cut a 1-inch wide and one went really long, and then I did an 1.25 inches and cut them. And then I just did took a soldering iron and just put a little hole in them and to make little holders. So I couldn't, you can kind of see them there. One there, and there's one up here, and there's one back. They don't weigh anything. I couldn't find what I would typically use. You might can see it up in here. You really can't see it. But I had these little 1/2-inch wire holders that you see that have like an adhesive on the back of them that you can run a zip tie through. The 1-inch are common. You can go to like Lowe's and everything and buy those, but I went yesterday and I couldn't find any of the 1/2-inch. So I just had to make something. And I got these all zip tied back in, and everything is kind of where it needs to be. Hooked everything up in here. The next thing I'm going to work on is I want to put something in here to kind of keep the servo wires right here from flapping around and everything. But ain't much you can really do for these wires. But anyway, so I'm kind of back to where I was before. Everything's neatly and can be gotten to easily. I just got to put these back on. I took these off to get access to reach in here and hook everything up. So This is believe it or not, it's kind of a complex model. It isn't the fact that it's a twin that makes it more complex. It's just the fact that, I mean, if you look at it, you got a wire bundle here, your flap and aileron are on the back side, because there's no way, because your leading edge flap servo is way up here, and this is a crazy wide wing. Sorry for the finger in the way. So you got flap and aileron, and it's such a big distance, and there's no way to get wires routed through the wing up to here because of the bulkheads and stuff. So you have to have like a two access point. And this side is where I run out because you have a door on the wing itself, which also makes it complex. So you've got airlines, you got wires back here, you got light wires. So it's just kind of a complex layout in that aspect of it. And there's a lot of things going on here. You know, you got your engines, which is normal. You got gear, which is normal. But you also have a canopy open and close. You got a lock system for the canopy. You've got gear doors on air system. The gear or air. You've got 2 doors here, 2 doors on the other side, and 2 doors on the bottom. And they all have, each door has an air cylinder, or I believe these are single. So each door has its own air cylinder on the side, but on the bottom, there's an air cylinder in the front and an air cylinder in the back per door. And it's kind of complex the way it works. So there's a lot going on. And then the light controller that it has, which is a ridiculous light controller. Like if I could, and I'm sure there's a way, if I could use the slime lights that they install and their lights with a different controller, I would. And I might look into that in the future. But it's a complex jet. So a lot going on. And it's, even though it's a big jet, it's hard to get in there and do things. So, but I'm kind of done with the rear section. Now I'm going to move to the forward here and get all this cleaned up. I need to secure these a little bit better. They're just sitting in here on a tray that I put in there, and it needs to, needs a little secure. I'll probably put a little goop on the bottom of the air tanks there. So one of those is for the gear, and the other one is for, those are bigger than they look. They're pretty long tanks. So you got brakes, gear, and gear doors on the air system. So the canopy was air, but I converted it to a linear actuator, as well as the lock. They just had an air cylinder that pushes a pin out. I take the pin out, glue it onto a linear actuator that goes in and out, and then I just put it on a 3-position switch. So up, the canopy's up, go mid position, the canopy closes, and then the 3rd switch down is when this comes out. So you can adjust these just like a servo and do curves with them as long as they have their own channel. So, yeah. But anyways, that's just a kind of a quick update where I'm at, and I'm gonna start working on getting the equipment trays put back in here after I take care of those air tanks, and then taking all of these leads and putting the other ends on, crimping. And I hate doing it. It's like the worst part of any jet is making the leads. But I'm gonna put my probably put it right here, as long as the canopy or the cockpit doesn't hit it, is put the power system right here. So, but you guys have a good one. Yeah, this is slow going, man. This is not the most fun stuff to do video builds on and do live builds on. So those will probably come in the fall or the spring, sorry, when the next projects show up. And I do have to do the repair on that, so I'll film the kind of repair on that, because I've got to cut access ports on that center section of the wing to get access to the bulkheads, the spars that are literally cracked in two completely. So you guys have a good one, and don't forget to subscribe, tell a friend, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down. Comments are always welcome and encouraged. Cheers.